All right. I happened to run across this review and or an excerpt from it, and I had to just read it further. Then when I read the review and saw the book that it was reviewing, I just felt that I had to share it with y'all. You know how you sometimes see before and after pictures of girls going to college, like when they're 18. They're fresh faced. They're smiling. They look normal. Uh, they look, I don't know, mentally healthy. And then the same girls 4 years later, like, have staples in their noses and green hair and just a scowling, face, show a terrible attitude. Well, it's it's a whole bunch of different things that has that kind of effect on young women. It's propaganda generally. Um, it's the culture, which is laced with propaganda. So there's no easy answer as to why this happens. I'm not saying it happens in all cases, but there is there is a tendency for younger girls, I should say, girls and young women from 18 to 25 or so, getting radicalized in some of the worst and most loathsome and most disagreeable sorts of ways today. All the attention is on the boys, with listening to their red pill content, and that's what they're making Netflix movies about. But nobody's addressing the girls, who are going down their own radicalization path. So this is a review of a book in NPR. Yes, National Public Radio. I've said before, this is just an aside, but every time I listen to NPR, I hear one of the commenters, just there's a certain voice that they use on NPR. Every time I hear that voice, I want to punch somebody in the face. It just has that effect on me. So I don't listen to NPR because I don't like to feel that way. So this is a review of a book called The Stalker. The Stalker is one of the most appalling characters in recent American fiction. So this is like the new Patrick Bateman or something? No, not exactly. Robert Dowdy Seville never gets tired of winning. When the reader of Paula Boehmer's shocking new novel, The Stalker, first meets Dowdy, he's a high school student sitting in a Waterton, Connecticut diner with two of his friends. The three have driven to the town from their homes in wealthy Darien. They did this to feel adventurous, to be in another world, a lowly world, a world of people with bad jobs and cheap clothes. Dowdy resolves to have sex with a waitress named Beta? Doesn't matter. Before returning home to watch Wheel of Fortune with his mother. Yeah, that's what guys are all about. That's what young guys love to do. They love to seduce a waitress on the bad part of town before going home and watching Wheel of Fortune with their mothers. That's young men all over. He liked winning, Boehmer writes. He loathed losing. It wasn't something he could accept at all, so he didn't. Dowdy is in fact a loser. All lies, entitlement, and self-delusion. In terms of humanity, he's one of the most appalling characters in recent American fiction. And that's the point of Boehmer's dizzying book. God, this is just like, this is such a kiss-ass review. It's kind of appalling in and of itself. A fascinating look at an absurdly stupid young man in the early 1990s who manages to sustain himself despite having no evidence of a soul. Dowdy later returns to Watertown and has a sexual adventure with Beata that turns non-consensual. Of course. Rape! The encounter is the result of Dowdy's misogyny, which he comes by honestly. Beata, his bird. His father used to refer to women as birds. Birds had amazing brains. Even though their brains were small, and regardless of their brains, there was something to be caught and put in a cage. Dowdy admires his father, a once rich man who has lost most of his money. And when the man dies while Dowdy is in college in Boston, he is too ignorant to understand he will inherit nothing but a few $100s. Nevertheless, he drops out of college and moves to New York with just over $300 and some cocaine he stole from his roommate. It's just like, this doesn't sound like a character. This just sounds like, I'm going to put everything I hate in a person and make him a character in my book so I can express my hatred of men. That's what this is reading like. I mean, admittedly, it's just a review. I haven't read the book, but that's how it's coming across to me. He reconnects with Beata, who's working as a bartender while going to nursing school, and is initially not happy to see him. Well, because he raped her, right? But then she comes around. Okay. She's initially not happy to see him, but then changes her mind, I guess. He also meets Sophia, a book editor, at a bar. He tells both women he is working in real estate. He is not. Anyone working was already losing, he muses early in the book. All right, so instead, he spends his days walking around the city, doing drugs and taking over Beata's and Sophia's apartments. I guess they're letting him take over their apartments, aren't they? These two girls are letting this guy who the author is calling a loser and a misogynist and a hateful, awful person. He's taking over their apartments because these girls are letting him in to their apartments, including the girl that he apparently raped. He is a stunning failure of a person. Okay. Anyway, let's just pile on the what's the word? Obliquely. I can't. Maybe I should think of a better word when I can't, or think of a word that actually comes to mind. Let's just pile on the abuse. He's mired in self-delusion, which becomes even more pronounced when he discovers a new drug. He had never smoked crack. It was amazing. Way more fun than snorting cocaine. Everything great about Dowdy became greater. His mind, his powers, his hair, his future, his plans. He had the best plans. Anything he planned was the best plan. All right. God. Both Beata and Sophia know there's something wrong with Dowdy, yet they're still having sex with him. Doesn't let either of them see his home or office, neither of which exist. He treats them beyond terribly, but they find it difficult to get him to leave because of his occasional love bombing. Okay, so no responsibility here to these girls who are letting this creepy guy, become a part of their lives. Because of the occasional love bombing and his pure insistence and, above all, entitlement. You think a guy who's just insistent and acts entitled, that is enough to make a girl say, well, I guess I gotta keep letting him in and keep having sex with him, even though he raped me the first time I met him. Like, come on, like, where's the responsibility for the women in this story? They're just passive victims of this guy who's absolutely disgusting in all ways, yet somehow has this ability to get these two girls to do whatever he wants. Isn't that something? Everything that came his way was his inheritance. This was one of the moments, like all the moments in his life, one after another, what he deserved. All right. And it goes on, blah, blah, blah. All right. While the book may be read as a commentary on the manosphere, the name given to a group of misogynistic influencers who have poisoned the culture. Of course, it's always their fault. It's always the manosphere's fault. They're the ones who have taken over. They control all the major institutions, right? Not feminism. It's those manosphere guys that are running the world, and women are just passive victims of them, of their manipulations. The setting makes it clear that this particular brand of toxic masculinity is far from a new thing. All right. Whoo, boy. So that's this book. This book, The Stalker, by Paula Boehmer. So, it's like I was saying before, that girls, get radicalized in college and become angry, hateful, man-hating, destructive, resentful, etc., and so on. And part of the reason why is the men that they let in their lives, the men who are desirable to them. And this book, even though it doesn't market itself this way, it doesn't talk about itself this way, what it's really about is one of these guys who is maybe good looking, maybe charming, whatever. He has this kind of power to get them to see him as somebody who's desirable, and he therefore, messes with, just takes what he wants, and they're helpless to fight against it. And then eventually they come to resent him for doing these things to them. And then instead of saying to themselves, I was really foolish to let this person into my life, there are lots of other men out there who don't behave this way. Instead of doing that, they say, this is just a man being a man. It's the way men are. It's the patriarchy. Ah! And then you have, that's how the propaganda works. So NPR, of course, one of the worst of many bad media organs. And it's what makes it the worst probably is that it's publicly funded. It's shilling for this book, which sounds like a doozy of a book. I mean, everything is there. It's you want to make a fresh-faced, innocent, normal-looking girl into an angry, hateful, misandrist monster with, again, 12 piercings all over her face and purple hair and what have you. This book isn't going to do the whole trick, but reading this book will have the effect of getting these girls to say, yeah, I've had boyfriends like that. I've had boyfriends who treated me that way. And then the question, they're not supposed to ask the question, why did I let this person into my life? What does that say about me? How can I change? Maybe I should give other guys who aren't, sociopathic manipulators a chance. Instead, it's not my fault. I'm a victim here, and men everywhere are like this man, are like the man being profiled in this story. So there you have it. The Stalker. I'm sure I'm sure I'll look for it at Barnes and Noble, or Barnes and Ignoble as I call them. I bet it's going to take a prominent place somewhere in the front part of the bookstore. I'm sure it'll be on display in many a bookstore window. I'm sure there's a huge marketing push behind it. I don't know who the publisher is, but I bet it's a major publisher. And there you have it. I mean, that's the culture, the people who run our culture, in a nutshell, and that this is what they're doing to young women in a nutshell. Just wanted to share that with you.